catching up on memory keeping feels heavy or overwhelming, this video is meant to show another option. Not a faster way, not a better way, just a more flexible one. All of the pages you're about to see were created inside one system. Same album, same page protectors, and the same basic structure. What changed from week to week was how I actually filled the pages. And that matters because real life doesn't look the same every single week. So the first and the third weeks of June that you're going to see here, these were pages that I kind of prepped ahead of time. So I designed these using the digitals from Ali Edwards, the July Stories by the Month. I do have a video sharing how I did that, and I'm going to link that down below and in the little cards. But I just used the digitals to sketch out the pages before I had the photos. I'm deciding the structure, the color palette, here you can see it's blue, and the journaling spots in advance. Now things can change, that is perfectly okay, things can change, but I'm just basically choosing, okay, I'm gonna have the title card, I've got my dates already on there so that I'm removing the need to stamp the date. I am like setting myself up for less work, I want to call it, in the future. So you can see here, I actually added a couple of little filler cards. They're going to go behind the media that I read this week. So I'm going to add those in. But the hard part is what I will say of the layout is done. I know where my filler cards are going. I know where my journaling cards are going. And the journaling, all I did afterwards, after I'd printed them out previously, I'm just putting my journaling, my text, onto clear sticker paper and then just putting it on the journal cards. You could handwrite, that's completely valid as well. I just had a lot that I wanted to say, so I'm just going to do that on clear sticker paper. But again, when it comes to the process of this, the structure, the design, that was already done in a previous week. If I have time and I'm like, okay, let's work on making future me have less work to do. So if I have, I don't know, let's say I have a spare half an hour, I'm going to go into Canva, play in Canva, and kind of prep ahead for July. And I do have, I've just thought about this, I do have the couple of July spreads in this album prepped. So if you want to see that video, I will link that video as well below. But again, the prep is done. And that really works well for weeks when life is full, or I know I won't have a lot of creative time or energy later. So if I know, for example, for me, the week of the 6th, that weekend, I have a really busy weekend. It is, it's just one of those weekends. I'm not going to be here to have a lot of creative time. So my plan is I'm going to get that week pretty much done so that all I have to do is, again, journal on sticker paper, put the journaling in, put the photos in, and I am done. I want less work to do that week. So I'm going to give myself that gift in the future. So I'm not going to try and predict the stories that I want to tell. I'm just leaving space. And I think, you think about this in terms of creating a container for them. I didn't know this week that I was going to have finished 2 books. I didn't know that. So I kind of leave myself open for that. And I could just choose not to put in as many photos. That's also valid. But I'm just using creative energy when I have it to prepare ahead. So I can use it to support the future me. And when I don't have that creative energy, I'm not starting from zero. I'm starting from something that's already kind of pre-done. And it doesn't mean that every week is like this. And this is why I've shared this video. This is 2 weeks of pre-planned, I want to call it pre-planned, prepared layouts. And then you're going to see 2 weeks where it wasn't planned. And I just kind of threw things together. But the 2 weeks are completely different. Like, you know, I might use some of the same elements. Maybe, I think there's one where I've printed extra. Yeah, you can see at the top, that little June paper. I decided I'm not gonna use that this week. So yeah, again, that will just go into my stash. Maybe I'll use it in a future week, maybe I won't. But I'm just letting the flow kind of go here. Again, there's a pre-planned structure, but I get to choose what I'm kind of using. It doesn't have to stay that pre-planned structure. So we've got stories here to tell, and you'll see that I'm using some stickers from Happy Planner. I use all of my things. I'm using digitals. You'll see in the other 2 weeks, I do use some physical products. But yeah, I use all of the things. If it's in my craft room, it is fair game. You'll see some weeks I'll stamp, some weeks I will create ephemera cards, some weeks I have like the books and the media that I have consumed that week. Some weeks I'll do little, there's one coming up in one of the other weeks of little like tabs or tags. It depends how I feel. Again, this might be you just put the photos in, put a little context on the photos, or you put your journaling in, and that'll be enough for you and you're happy. Sometimes I do more, sometimes I do less. So yeah, don't feel that you have to do the same thing every single week. So on this spread, I decide that I'm going to do some little journal spots. I actually started with these Happy Planner stickers, and then I just thought it didn't really feel right. So I go into my stash, and you'll see that I have some orange labels, and this sheet of orange labels has been in my stash, I'm gonna say at least 3 years. These are printables that I have done. And again, this is where I'm like, okay, I'm also going to punch some little flowers. I got a punch recently from a craft shopping trip that I took, little flower punch. I'm gonna get some orange paper. Because I have the orange on that little floral paper, I'm just gonna add a couple of little accents. And I do, sometimes again, I'm thankful for past me for doing the structure of this layout, but now it allows me some creativity of being that little extra when I want to be. And this was one of those occasions where I probably wouldn't have done the flowers and all of the stuff if I had to start from scratch. So that's another thing that I think is one of those gifts from past me. If I'd had to start from scratch, I probably would not have done the flowers, just because of time, of, you know, getting a sense of getting things done. So I'm gonna glue all of these little flowers down, and then I'm like, they need little centers in the flowers, so I'm gonna use my small hole punch, and I'm gonna punch out some little dots from the middle of the flowers, and I think I just used black cardstock for that. And again, I'm gonna glue those down too. So I think this is another reason that kind of planning and prepping ahead works, whether you're using the physical kit or physical supplies or the digital. Kind of make a plan of what you're going to use so that you can then sit down and be like, okay, what can I do to fancy this up? Maybe that is your thing. Like you get your kit, you plan ahead for the whole month, you use all of the supplies, and then you can get creative afterwards. After you've put your photos in, and you do crazy things like adding little punched flowers. Maybe that is another reason for kind of prepping ahead and doing some of the work ahead. So this is my finished layout that you see here. I really love it, and we will go into week 3 of June. So then we're going to move into week 3 of June. So typically when I'm looking at Ali Edwards kits, I'm looking at doing a week with the kit, usually for whatever has the first of the month in it. And then I'm having a week in between, and then I will have the third week generally be the Stories by the Month kit. And I might use digitals in between that, I might use physical in between that, I could use anything. But typically I try and do 1 or 2 spreads with the stories by the month, and then another one with a storyteller kit or something like that. So for this week, we've got kind of the blue and the peach theme going on, and I have a bunch of photos, as always, and I've got a couple of journaling cards that you see here. So I added a couple more journaling cards that you'll see with the peach on the top and the cream at the bottom. And then I'm just going to kind of move things around. The around here one that you see, I ended up printing a duplicate of that from the previous week. So I'm just gonna, again, I'm changing things around. If I have a spare card from a previous week, that again, you'll see the same thing here with that floral, I might use them, I might not. I ended up printing duplicates, and that's okay. You'll see that little June one here on the bottom with the text, the scripty text, Ali's handwriting. That was from that previous week. So I will just put them to one side, and they're kind of, they're in my June folder. Like currently right now, I've got July in the front of my folder so that I can have them like spare. So the first thing that I'm going to do, which is weird for me because I don't normally do this, is get my media card figured out. And again, you might not want to do a little review. That's perfectly fine. I'm thinking next year I might do flip ups. This is what I've been doing most of this year, is a little 2x2 on the front of the pocket so that I can just pull it out and see the review that I place on the back. So I'm going to mess again with the layout here. So again, even though I have planned ahead the structure of these layouts, it can change depending on the colors in the photos, depending on if I add any of the journaling cards or anything like that. So I'm going to get my journal and I'm going to journal on my journal cards, and I'm going to do it by hand this week. Again, even just changing the style of your journaling, we had text in week 1, printed text, and now I'm going to add all of the handwriting this week. I am handwriting with Papermate Flair on these cards. I do print my cards on matte photo paper, so the Papermate Flair works pretty well on that. So I'm going to do my journaling card. I do add some little, I'm going to call them little sticker dots, little bullet points from one of the Happy Planner books that I've been using recently. I think I use this in my monthly, and it just fit the colors of the kit. I think I use it again in one of the other weeks, but yeah, I'm just going to use the colors of the kit, and I'm going to underline my journaling. I go back and forth whether I actually like that because I can't do a straight line, but yeah. So the other thing that I'm going to do here is I have printed out some little journal strips. I've got the little June tags, some little strips, and I'm just going to put those on with a glue pen. Again, you could use rolling adhesive for this, you could use a glue pen. And then the only thing then that I have that I want to do is I want to put something on the top of one of the journaling cards. So I ended up putting, it was a dog story, so I'm going to put 2 little paw print stickers that I've had in my little stash for a long, long time. I'm going to put my media card together with a little 2x2, and that is pretty much that layout done. This one came together much quicker because I wasn't doing any of the punched florals or anything like that. So this one was pretty quick. That's great. I didn't have much time. So again, past me did present me a favor by printing out all of these cards ahead of time. I think we often get stuck thinking memory keeping has to look the same every week, but real life doesn't work that way. Some weeks need prep, some weeks need simplicity, some weeks need play, and all of those weeks belong in your Project Life album. So let's move on to the weeks that I didn't plan ahead of time. Now, when I am thinking about filling these weeks in, again, if I have leftover printables, that's where they're going to come in, especially if they have the month on. So if I do printables and they have a quote on or something that can be a bit more flexible, I'm just going to put those into my regular stash. If they have the month on, or especially if they have the year on, and some of the printables might have the year on, then I want to use them in the year or the month that they have on them. So I'm going to be using physical kits. These are ones that I have in for the month of June, and they can be a variety of leftover printables from last year. They can be, I think these are physical kits from 2025 and 2023. I'm not 100% on one of the kits, but I'm just going to use that. You'll see me here pull out the peaches. I do use those on week 4. So this is currently week 2 of June. And again, this is going to sandwich between the two that you've just seen. I'm just pulling things out. What do I want here? Again, mixing what I already have with other stuff. Again, it can be printable stuff, it can be stuff that's physical. I'm just gonna try and use all of the things on this spread. So I think the things that you see here, the quote card, the floral card, and the here for this quote card, I believe those are all printables from last year's Stories by the Month. The big June on the title card, that is a physical from a previous year. I've got chipboard from a previous year. There's the vellum from a previous year. There is the title card, the actual card underneath that. That is from a happy planner. I think it's a like an extension pack. Like it was the container, the cover, that came with it. So on the back of there's some wrong stuff. Like, again, I will use anything if it's the right shade or the right color. I don't care. So I'm mixing physical kits, leftover printables, and just using what I already had nearby. So these pages are a little, I'm gonna say looser. They're a little more layered. They're a little more dimensional. They're a bit more dimensional. So I'm going to be using chipboard. I'm going to be using the stickers. Again, we've got circles. We've just got a bit more texture to the pages. Again, I've got vellum, I've got chipboard, I've got these stickers. I'm going to staple the chipboard down. They're a bit more, they tend to be a bit thicker. But again, I'm not trying to match the pages that came before. I'm just letting the materials, the kits, again, I'm keeping these all by month in the little drawer. I'm letting these guide the page. So when I'm thinking about things that are together, I'm thinking about, again, if it's June and a June kit, I tend to keep those all together because I want to know when I am doing my project life that all my June stuff is together. So I'm just going to put the things together, and you can see I'm playing with the chipboard, I'm playing with the circles, I'm playing with shapes, and I'm just enjoying the tactileness because I have a little bit more time. And again, even on week 1, where I ended up spending more time punching the flowers, punching the circles, putting all that together, if I had to do that all over again, it would probably take double the time if I was starting from scratch and I had not got the structure of the layout done. So yeah, I'm just changing whatever I want to use depending on the week and my energy. So on the title card that you see here, I end up putting June vertically. I end up stamping the date on there with stays on. So again, I didn't stamp in the previous 2. Right? It all depends on your energy and how you feel. It all depends on your energy. If you don't want to stamp, don't stamp. Use your stickers. Print it out all ahead of time and have it on the page ahead of time. So again, I'm gonna kind of do my little journaling spots on a couple of these cards using the circle stickers, and I'm just gonna, fill in the little spots. So the June journaling card, I'm just going to take 3 little stories from June this week from my journal. I've been keeping a weekly journal, and I'm just going to put those on the card, and then that will be done. After I've just filled out my little media card of the book that I read this week, and yeah, put that on the little 2x2. And that is week 2 done. So for the second week that was not pre-planned, I'm going to be using again a mix of the digitals and the physicals. This one was kind of fun to use because I'm thinking about, again, the leftover projects from before, right? The leftover things from the previous weeks because they might fit. And again, when I did week 2, which you just saw, and I pulled out that peach paper from one of my physical kits, I'm like, yep, I want to use that for the final week. So I'm going to cut down the 6x4 and I'm going to use that in this week. And this was my goal. This was my plan all along. Like for this layout, I was keeping in mind that I wanted to use this peachy paper. So all I'm thinking about here is using that peach paper. What can I do to use that peach paper? And again, I've got a couple of things that I've already done from a previous layout. I had these, when I did the video about kind of prepping for June, I did these 2 journaling cards that were from a 6x4 that said June Joys. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to use these as separate vertical journaling cards, and I'm going to use these for like highs and lows. I think I do 2 on each, 2 highs and 2 lows. So that's what I'm kind of thinking about here. And then I printed out some more kind of cards. So again, I'm thinking about the colors. Again, we got this peachy, apricot-y kind of vibe. I've got blue in the June Joys, and then I go and print out some of these little like tags. These are again from the June Stories by the Month. I print them out, cut them, and then I'm just going to round the corners. I did recolor 2 of these, so they weren't all green initially. Then I have 2 little photos. They're actually little screen grabs. One of them was from the craft and chat that we had with Ali. The other one was a class that I signed up with for Ali. And I just want to put this down. This was stuff about my week, right? So I'm going to use those, and I've cut them and rounded the corners to the same shape so that I've got some consistency going on here of that same shape. And again, that is pretty much done. All I'm going to do then is kind of figure out where I want things. Again, I'm thinking about the overall design here. Where do I want things? And I'm like, you know, the only thing that I need is a little bit of context on a couple of the photos. So I need label stickers. So I'm going to go to my stash. I'm going to go to my sticker stash, and I'm just going to use some Happy Planner stickers. So I'm going to put those on a couple of the photos and then just use some handwriting. This week, again, I'm using handwriting. On the journaling cards, again, I'm using those little sticker bullets and handwriting a couple of things in there. A little bit more journaling on a couple of the photos. And then I'm going to put together these filler cards. So I've got the title card and then the other 2 peach cards. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to get out some stamps. I'm going to stamp my title card, and I'm going to end up having to mask because the June stamp that I chose has like a box around it. So I'm going to mask with sticky notes June, put the dates in, then I'm going to choose 2 other stamps for the other little cards and then call that good. I love how the stamping turned out. I'm definitely feeling happier about stamping lately now that my stamps are a bit more organized, but this is still catching up. Even though the pages look different, even though they were made at different times, even though the process wasn't consistent, what was consistent is the system. Planning ahead when I can, and that is what makes this project sustainable for me. Again, for this one, the design wasn't there ahead of time, but I had in my mind that for this one, I was using that peach paper, the peach card from the physical kit, and stuff that I'd already printed out, and I stamped. So this one has less texture on it, but it is just as fun. I had in mind what I was going to use, and it worked out exactly as I imagined. When I look at these weeks side by side, I don't see inconsistency. I see flexibility. I see problem solving. I see a system that bends instead of breaking, and a system that works for me. If this kind of flexible memory keeping feels helpful, you'll find more videos like that here, focused on the process and not pressure. And if you're behind right now, let this be your reminder. Just use whatever fits the week that you're in. Thanks for spending a little creative time with me today. I'll see you in the next one. Bye!